This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. This topic is a bit controversial because I think a lot of people at first are going to think it's some type of offensive content. So just hear me out and listen to what I'm saying, because I've noticed this trend going on for a long time with autism and how they're normalizing it and how they're pushing autism in TV shows and making it seem like it's a normal thing in the sense of, hey, it happens. Children are born this way. They're special. They're gifted. And you may not understand where I'm going with this, but just listen to this video and let's discuss the topic, because it is happening more and more. Just like they plant gay characters on these shows as manipulation and mind control, they're now doing a massive push towards incorporating children with disabilities such as autism in the shows. And that's because they want to normalize these diseases that children are born with and make it seem like it's an act from God, or, you know, they're just born this way, when in fact, it is a fact that most of these children who, God bless their souls, who suffer from autism, and the parents who have children and have to deal, with raising them and dealing with this disease, it's a fact that this disease is a product of the chemical dumping that goes on in this world. It's a product of chemtrails. It's a product of the chemicals in our food. Autism has never been higher. The statistics have never been higher. They continue to go up. And instead of people asking, why are those numbers going up? What's going on that they would go up? What they want to do through mind control is they want to just say, listen, your child's autistic. It's a gift from God. Embrace it. He's special, but he's normal too. And I'm not saying that people with autism aren't normal. Of course they are. Of course they're great people. This isn't about the fact that they have this disease. It's about the fact of why this disease is so prominent, why this disease exists, why this disease continues to increase. Because they're responsible for it. They're responsible through the dumping of these chemicals on all of us. That's why autism is so high. That's why so many families have children who suffer from this. And that's why shows like this show now that they're pushing out, called The Good Doctor, where they're talking about this kid who's autistic, who's a doctor, and he's been given this gift to be a doctor, and they're normalizing this disease that they've created so that people look at it and they go, wow, they don't think of it at all the way they should. What people should be saying is, why are these people suffering from autism? Why, since 1975, or the 70s, I should just say, with Operation Cloverleaf and all these CIA operations that are there for you to research yourself, that talk about chemtrailing and dumping chemicals on us, what a coincidence that and Alzheimer's and dementia are all diseases on the rise, that women who specifically, are pregnant, who are exposed to the chemicals that are dumped on us through chemtrailing, are highly likely to have children that are autistic. That's the stuff people should be talking about. But instead, this is why they do it. Because instead of getting people to think and ask, because they know the statistics are ridiculous, and they know there's people who notice it, but instead they want to go, well, what's a way that we can get people to just think that, hey, this is something that just happens coincidentally, or blame it on God, it's an act from God, do it that way, but say, hey, they're normal, they're special, they're gifted, they're talented, boost them up, and then they won't ask questions about it. They won't say, why are these statistics so high? And I've seen this trailer now for The Good Doctor for a few months, because I may or may not sometimes watch The Bachelor or Bachelorette or Bachelor in Paradise. That was a joke, but I have dabbled sometimes and checked it out. For work-related purposes. Wink, wink. Sorry, I had to throw that joke in there for people. If you listen to my live shows, you'll get it. But this is what ABC is rolling out, and it's now becoming normal, just a normal thing. Normalize, I should say. The show Parenthood, right? They're talking about children with Asperger's and all these diseases that are caused through the chemtrailing. And it's just becoming normalized, just like the gay agenda and just like the trans. But you have to understand, I'm not saying it from the perspective that these kids aren't normal, that these kids aren't good human beings. I'm not saying that there's anything, to make, I'm not saying make fun of them. I'm not saying anything along those lines. What I'm saying is the fact that they're bringing attention to it so often on television now, and they're going out of their way to do it, is because they want people to subliminally think that this is just some random coincidence that so many children are born with this awful disease. You can look up the statistics and you can see autism specifically has increased by 6 to 15% each year from 2002 to 2010. And this is the problem with the world that we live in. Instead of saying, why has it increased, right? How come 150 years ago this wasn't such a normal thing, right? Why, well, of course, it's, stuff still happened. People still got sick. But why is it rising so much? Why is dementia? Why is Alzheimer's? Why are these diseases on the rise so much? It's because of the chemical baths that they put us in every day. So by normalizing this and discussing it, instead of addressing why this is happening, why every other family almost, and why every year by 6 to 15%, it pretty much means at some point in time, at that rate, every family is going to have one who has 3 kids or 2 kids is going to have one child who has autism. But instead, they want you to go, your child's autistic, he's special, he's gifted. Instead of saying, this is BS, this is crap. I shouldn't have a child who's sick and suffering and dealing with this stuff. Why do I have it? What is the reason that he's sick? Well, it's something to do with your pregnancy. Oh, yeah? Even though statistics show the number and the increase in all of this stuff from chemtrailing? But you want to sit here and you want to tell me that, it's because, it's God's will or something along those lines. It's truth. I mean, it's stuff that people don't want to address. It's not a fun topic to talk about. Okay, but I noticed the trends, and I noticed that this is something that they constantly are talking about, but they're trying to, make it normal. They want to normalize it. So it's like if you have a child who's autistic, instead of asking questions of how this happened or why it happened, to just go, hey, it happens. Because they don't want you to look into the chemical baths. They don't want you to look into what's in your Cheerios. When you read the box, you can't even pronounce. It's supposed to be, oats? Can't even pronounce it's on the side of the box. You read it, every word's got about 75 Z's in it and Y's. And you just go, huh? What is that? Oh, yeah. Oh, and okay, that's normal. And they go, oh, don't worry about it. The FDA approves it. Yeah. The FDA approves it. I mean, you could just read these statistics. A majority of costs in the U.S. are in adult services. $175 to $200 billion compared to 61 to 66 billion for children in services related to autism. So it's a big money business for them as well. Now we know what the chemtrailing is for. We know why we're getting dumped with these chemicals, to dumb us down, to make us weak, to make us depressed. That's what these chemtrails do. But they also cause things like this and dementia. The problem is that people don't ask the question based on the statistics. It's the same with diabetes. Look at the statistics on diabetes. I've done videos last year on it. It's unbelievable how many people have it and how high it's going. But people, instead of going, they just go, I guess I'm eating too much fast food. Instead of going, what are they? Why is this approved that they're putting this in the food to make people sick? The scariest part about diabetes, more so than humans getting, is animals. I had a cat who got diabetes and died from it many years ago. It was awful. Having to give a cat insulin shots? Are you kidding me? A poor cat? Because the chemicals that they put in the wet food and the dry food? Nobody asks that, though. They don't go, why is this going on? Who's responsible for it? What's the end game? Instead, they just go, everything's sunshine, rainbows, and wonderful, despite the increase in these diseases, which people should just, they know that people should be going, should we talk about this? Should we talk about, if you look at the graphs, right, of the increase in all of these diseases I'm talking about, specifically autism, don't you think people should go, okay, so what has happened from the 1970s to now that has made it skyrocket? Can we figure that out? Right? What could it, they don't want you thinking like that. They want you to just go, it's normal. Listen, you're going to be born with a disease. You're going to be born with this. You're going to get diabetes from the food that you eat. It's natural. When it's not, they're doing all of this to us. They're killing us off. They're making us sick. They're making us weak. And these poor children, God bless their souls, who are born with autism, they're getting pushed into this agenda. They're going, well, you could be whatever you want. You're special. And they're getting off on stuff like this, poisoning, these pregnant mothers, poisoning these kids, making them sick, going through life with these diseases, older people getting dementia. I mean, the statistics show that people are getting dementia in their 50s now, that it's on the rise. Their 50s, not their 90s, their late 40s and 50s. And the stats show it, but people don't care because they believe what they're force-fed. They don't want to look into what's considered, bad news or fear news or negative news. That's too much for them to handle. Until it happens to them, until they have a child who's born autistic, or their mother or their father or themselves gets dementia, or their wife or their husband. But even then they just go, well, what can we do now to help this person go along? Instead of going, why the hell does this person have it? Who's responsible? Why are these statistics so high all of a sudden? Why is there a spike? Because clearly if there's a spike, that means something's going on. It's not just naturally occurring. What are they going to tell you? Global warming? They're going to throw any of that BS at everybody? They won't even address it. Instead, what they do is they package it, they normalize it, and they say, hey, you're born with a child who's got a disease. Everybody's got one now. It's the coolest thing. That's the sad part, because even talking about it offends people. And trust me, I'm not trying to offend anybody. My prayers go out to all these kids and these parents that are affected by all these diseases. It's a nightmare. It's awful. I can't sleep thinking about the stuff they do to these kids. I can't sleep thinking about the stuff they do to us. And the chemical baths that we're constantly under. But that's the fact of the matter. That's why it's talked about. They normalize this stuff, and instead of getting people to ask and fight back and say, oh, okay, well, what is chemtrailing? What is this? Why is this on the rise? What can we do to stop it? Who's responsible for it? Instead, they go, hey, you got a kid who's born autistic? You're normal. Everybody does now. It's the coolest thing. And you could put your kid in an autistic school, but he could still be a doctor like this show's promoting. He could be a scientist. He could be a werewolf. I mean, whatever he wants. And parents are more interested in that and going, yeah, that's great. I could take pictures and I could post it and I can get sympathy on Facebook over it. Instead of looking at our government who's responsible for it and getting away with it day after day. It breaks my heart. It really does. I just wanted to do a video on it. I saw many commercials for this show, The Good Doctor. I find it repulsive and sickening how they're, the message that they're trying to send. Because the message isn't, oh, a kid with autism can be a doctor or not. That's not how I look at this stuff when I see it. The message is, let's make it seem like, these people are born this way but are still normal. And I'm not saying that they're not normal. But I'm saying instead of questioning why they have this problem. And that's the thing everybody should be talking about. Why? With all these diseases that are on the increase. But they don't. It's almost like normal now. Oh, your dog's got diabetes? Oh, yeah, mine too. It's like, well, your dog should never have diabetes. We shouldn't either. It's ridiculous. It really is. I can't stand these people. I'm looking forward to the day that they get kicked into the pit. I really am. For the stuff that they've done and force people to live through and endure. My prayers go to out to these families who suffer from this. Don't buy into this agenda. Instead of going, hey, my kid's special and things like that, because no one's saying that your child isn't a good child or anything like that. You should say why. Why is he sick? And looking into the increase and why it's going on in this country and this world. Because that's where the problem lies. Because they're poisoning us on a daily basis. I thank you for listening to today's show, and I want to thank all of you who have continued to support the channel. I'll leave my Patreon link up below and PayPal as well. I'm sure this will be demonetized in 5 seconds and blacklisted. And I have t-shirts available if anyone's interested. I'll leave the link up for that below, and I thank you all for your support. God bless you all, and God bless your families as well.